What is your vision for developing East and West Charlotte? You kind of mentioned it, and anytime you talk about Charlotte, and particularly in terms of growth, East and West Charlotte have to be part of that conversation. What's your vision for those communities?
Well, we know that the east and west side of our city have been traditionally underserved. We know that a lot of our growth has happened in the north and the south. And the streetcar is just one way that we show a visible commitment to making sure we're bringing jobs, we're bringing opportunity, we're bringing connectivity to the east side and the west side. Clearly, Eastland Mall is a major issue on the east side. The faster that we can make that site active with a mixed-use development, the better. The better for that part of the city, the better for residents, the better for city tax revenues, the better for our children. We need to make sure that's active. Right now there is a request by the school system to have a school on 11 acres of that site. That needs to be looked at. I want to hear from the community. I want to see how that fits in the school's plan. But that may be one part of it. But the biggest part of Eastland has to be something that is activating that site, that is bringing economic activity, that is making sure that we are helping build small business, helping build job growth on the east side. And eventually the streetcar will connect to Eastland Mall. Eastland used to be a thriving area. People used to spend a lot of time shopping there, a lot of sales tax revenues generated there. So that's just one part. I mean, there are a lot of things going on the east side. There's the whole Independence widening, other things. There might be a light rail as well in the future. On the west side, we have great plans for the Beatty's-Ford Road corridor, and if you look at, and West Boulevard as well, and Freedom Drive, if you look at what's happened with the leadership of Ron Carter at Johnson C. Smith University and Mosaic Village and some of the things that are already happening in that part around the university, Johnson C. Smith is a great partner. It is a great urban university. We're going to continue to work with them to help revitalize the area around there. They have many students involved. They have student internships with some of the new jobs that have been created by that development. We're also going to look at Beatty's-Ford Road going further up and look at revitalization. You know, is there a place for an innovation hub? Is there a place for a revitalization grant? Are there small businesses that could use some of the city support? And working with schools, with county facilities, there's a library there, to continue to focus on that as well. And the next leg of the streetcar will go to Johnson C. Smith. We saw, even with the Gold Line that connected Johnson C. Smith to Uptown, a lot of increased connection, a lot more students getting involved in internships and banking and other places that they were working uptown, and folks uptown doing more events at Johnson C. Smith.
Charlotte's in the housing business by virtue of the bonds that we have voter approval on. We have to disperse that housing in all four corners of this city, and I am in favor of affordable housing across our city to try to, again, create an option for a school teacher, for a home health care nurse, for a firefighter, for a police officer, to be able to buy a home or to afford a home in their community as opposed to living outside of Charlotte. And so that's how we have to disperse it. I see a problem in our locational policy, which has good intentions of trying to disperse it, but unintentionally it is actually creating a situation where it's pitting one part of Charlotte versus the other by the virtue of how we've set up some of the rules. I think City Council needs to come back and revisit that, because right now we're currently not dispersing it enough in and around all of Charlotte. And again, you pointed out East and West Charlotte. East and West Charlotte, again, have been victim to, in my opinion, some policies that we made decades ago that, again, weren't as well thought out from a housing standpoint. We've got to undo that.
So in terms of infrastructure in West Charlotte and East Charlotte, what kinds of things would you like to see in terms of development in those communities?
First, on East Charlotte, we need to obviously move forward as rapidly as we can with addressing the blight and the abandonment of Eastland Mall. The City of Charlotte has very thoughtfully moved forward through several different phases. First was obviously the idea that we had that this could be possibly a Plaza Fiesta and a Mexican-themed mall. It didn't work out. That owner sold it back to us. The second phase were the film idea. Now we're to the third phase, which I think has the most legitimate possibility of attracting private development, which is a mixed-use development that would include a K-8 magnet school, a park, retail, office space, trying to create, again, a symbol of East Charlotte that's reflective of what that neighborhood wants. That's the first thing. Second thing that we need to do in West Charlotte is have a corridor that reflects exactly what those neighborhood leaders, which by the way are very well organized and are very focused around redevelopment of the Beatties Ford corridor. And in particular, I think what they've told me that they want, and many of the leaders have told me, is that they want amenities. They want to see a retail mix that reflects what they see in other parts of Charlotte. And again, in order to attract that, that doesn't mean that we abandon transportation-only development. My other challenge with the trolley streetcar is that it's been billed as the economic development tool that will create this revitalization. And the facts around where the trolley and streetcar have been put in place, like San Antonio and Tampa, Washington, D.C., and Arlington, Virginia, suggest that this is not creating the amount of economic development activity that we do see and we have seen from the light rail, which is a different mode of transportation. Yes, I understand it's fixed rail and it gives a permanency to it, but again, it's not translating to an instant rise to the top in economic development activity. That occurs when you build a very strong corridor that's reflective of that corridor, in my opinion, that obviously remains affordable, that remains reflective of what the community needs there. And again, we come back to that crime plan. If you've got a high crime area in some of the East and the West Charlotte, you're not going to see new development dollars come to a high crime area. That's why we've got to get back to getting that crime plan with our citizens at the task force, with our city council members engaged. It comes together first when you're safe. Everything else will obviously fall in place. And these are neighborhoods, again, that have had legacy issues of obviously high levels of crime activity. Some years it's gone up, some years it's gone down. Again, we've got to get our arms around that because investors seek security, and they're going to seek security when they know a neighborhood's safe.